Hello, and welcome to the Cube Vlog. This is episode 8. It has been a very, very, very long time. I've been, I think it's been a year and a half actually. So I've been toying with the idea of doing another episode or a couple of episodes and getting back on the bandwagon. But I just haven't had time or inspiration to do it. But recently I've been doing a lot of Cube stuff, so I figured, for the sake of just trying out some more things, getting to get my ideas out again. I might as well do an episode, see how it goes. So quickly, since the last time I talked about Cube, I think it was September 2016. So yeah, about a year and a half ago. So you can see here that there are quite a bit of changes. This is my Pauper Cube. So right about conspiracy, I think we ended up finishing. So I want to talk about two things today. Well, three things, kind of intertwined. Firstly, uh, the vintage cube. I want to talk about some changes, not a lot of changes. Also, what's happening, and I guess I'll just get into that. In next week, the group, the WAD group, is going to be doing a vintage cube rotisserie draft. I'm super excited about this. I've been ever since we've done rotisserie cube draft twice, and one time I wasn't even there. I couldn't even make it. So I've been dying to rotisserie draft, and I got the okay from the lady. She said I could use the apartment, and so I'm gonna get the tables together and lay out all the cards, and we're gonna draft it. So that's super fun. I'm super excited about that. Um, well, what is this? Keep the current color scheme. There you go. Yeah, so yeah, let's get into the vintage cube right now and see what's going on. So the cube has gone through a bunch of iteration. The online vintage cube, the MTGO cube, has gone through a bunch of iterations. Every single time they release it, they make a bunch of changes, and the great thing about the vintage cube online is that they don't have any sacred cows. So they just like cut random stuff, and they have all the information they need to make cuts online, and they know what people are drafting, etc., etc. So since the last time I made a video, I think there was the Amonkhet changes, Ixalan, and some other stuff. So I guess I'll go quickly through this stuff. One thing that as for the vintage cube, a lot of times if there's like a really super expensive card, I don't even proxy the new stuff. So if I can't afford to get the new stuff, I just don't put it in, unless it's like bonkers and there's like no way the cube can't function without it. Like for example, if there was an archetype build, like a card that really fits into an archetype, and that archetype is kind of on the edge, and this would bring it into the fold. I might try to get the card, but for now, I haven't added any cards that were really expensive. So, anyway, so for Amonkhet, we went through Amonkhet, and there was a bunch of changes. I think a lot of these things were MTGO changes. The Painful Truth for Phyrexian Arena, Hallowed Spirit Keeper for Recruiter of the Guard, obviously. Face Feathers for Cast Out, pretty good. Iona for Angel Sanctions. This is a change that I believe I made myself because the group, like Iona, never gets cast in white decks. It's a reanimator target, and even at that, I don't think the play group has have ever done that. So I took it out. It's not to say that that's the greatest choice ever, but I think strangely enough, our group likes to play creature-based decks, and even though it's the Vintage Cube, people still end up falling into those decks. And Angel Sanctions is such a great card. It's a Oblivion, not a Journey to Nowhere on a stick. So, and you could do it twice if they end up dealing with it. Stormbred Dragon for Glorybringer. Like I felt, Stormbred Dragon has the upside of the protection from white and the monstrous, which you never really cast in the red decks. The great thing about Glorybringer, it's like kind of like Flame Tongue Kavu, so it could be just a game winner right there. Yeah, so I think that was a good change. I do like Stormbred Dragon, but you know, it's you gotta. I also think you should. I kind of want to go towards where Wizards goes is doing is like they kind of take out stuff that isn't being played and just try some other things just to see how things go. You know, Idrix Top Howler for Manglehorn. I know they're not the same for the mana cost, but Manglehorn is just vicious. I've seen it. I've watched a bunch of vintage videos where people are just get someone drops a Manglehorn and the game's just over. So I think Indrix Top Power is cool in the sense that it's it's a 4/4. I think the actual card was a Conclave Naturalist, but I had taken them out. I forgot to do the switch on paper on the list. But now, yeah, Manglehorn just takes over those two cards anyway. Cloud Goat Ranger for Angel Invention. I don't know which one's better. Cloud Goat Ranger is the typical great token bomb, but I feel like Angel Invention has some merit, and we had it lying around, so I wanted to try it out. The cube has been drafted since then, maybe once, so I haven't got to see a lot of these cards. So these changes are kind of just for trial purposes, and I don't really know if they're good or not. Okay, the Ixalan end of 2017 changes that I did recently in December. Emrakul, I brought an Emrakul and Birthing Pod. No one ever played a Birthing Pod. No one even tried it, so take that shit out. Emrakul. Nezumi Shortfang, another card that no one ever played with. I never saw anyone play with it, and I even in vintage videos online, I never seen anyone play with it. So, and I put in Kitesail Freebooter just to another one of those guys that locks down the hand. For that black white like what is it called? I can't remember what the archetype's called, but you're just kind of like dismantling their hand. It's kind of like a hate bears-ish kind of deck, I guess. Anyway, I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. Vengevine, another card that is it's a cool card, but I feel it's becoming more and more fringe. So I'm trying out something else, and I'm trying out Champion of Ronas. It just allows you to cheat your fatties, and so another card to allow you to do some busted stuff if it stays alive. Staff of Domination, it was I think Staff of Domination, it works with fellows and like one or two other cards. You could do like unlimited combos, but other than that, I mean, I've never seen the card played, so just Growing Rights of Itlamok, it's a card that a lot of people don't like. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know. It looked cool to me. It looks like a worse Gaia's Cradle. The times where you have 3 or 4 mana elves on the ground and nothing to ramp into is like pretty high. So I think Growing Rights lets you dig, and then it's for sure slower than Gaia's Cradle, but I haven't seen it played yet, so I don't know. So I want to try it. Zurin Orb, this one I'm not sure about. I put in Westvale Abbey because it works with the whole token thing. I'm not sure about this because I really like the Zurin Orb combo, lock your opponent out and destroy lands and with what is the card where you can play lands from your graveyard? I'm so bad with names; it's ridiculous. Crucible Worlds, yeah. So Crucible with that, with like a bunch of I don't know. There's tons of cool stuff you could do with it. Obviously, I've very rarely played those decks, but I like the idea of having that open in the cube so that someone who knows how to do it has that option and they could just do it if they want to. Just gonna make sure this is still recording. Yeah. So Roast, Sweltering Suns, that was the MTGO change. I changed Sweltering Suns out later on, so That's not too important. Torch Fiend for Harsh Mentor. Harsh Mentor seems really cool. Um, Torch Fiend is just another destroy our target artifact card. Harsh Mentor can like kind of like lock people down, or they take damage, which is what the red deck wants. So Ravels Ixalan changes. Necrotal for Chupacabra. I think a lot of people did that change in their um, in their cubes. Thada Adel for Baral. Baral is another one of those cards that's kind of like pumping. It's just adding to Storm or the spell deck. And Thada Adel was like okay, not really interesting. She did work for sure. She was a fine card, but I just feel like Baral sets you in motion towards some archetype, and you kind of build around it. Whereas Thada is just like there, and like she'll get a portion of the deck. She'll like hose a portion of the cube decks, but you know. And then like quickly after Harsh Mentor being put in, I took it out for Direfleet Daredevil. So it's the one where you could play a spell from your graveyard at sorcery speed. So instant sorcery card from your opponent's graveyard. Oh, in an opponent's graveyard. Yeah, well, reading the card's important, but you can still get some crazy stuff. Like everyone's playing good spells. If you get an ancestral off of it, you're obviously like jumping for joy. But even if you just get like some other cards, you could put it with you could play it with any mana of any type to cast it. So you're not like out, right? And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with those changes. Obviously, Baral was not a Ixalan card, but I just found it in our collection, so I put it in there. I did this change a couple of days ago. I took out Quicken for Commit to Memory, because the Vintage Cube had it on MTGO, and no one ever played Quicken. So Quicken has some possible like cool stuff, but it's just a cantrip. But you want some more powerful things, so I think the Commit to Memory might be interesting. Phyrexian Arena I took out for Collective Brutality. I'm not 100% sure about this, but this gives Reanimator another discard outlet, and while doing some pretty devastating stuff to your opponent. So I think this is a pretty good card. I took out Sweltering Suns for Seething Song. Seething Song used to be in the cube. I took it out, and now I'm putting it back in to boost Storm just a little bit more. I feel like the new changes to the Vintage Cube on MTGO is like very heavily skewed towards Storm, because LSV drafts it, and now everyone wants to draft it like LSV. So I'm putting a little bit. I'm not putting all the what do you call them, the mana producing spells. I'm so bad. The rituals. That's what I want to say. So I'm not adding all the rituals like they are. I added this one back because it used to be in there, and I took it out, and now I'm putting it back. And the last Storm boost I'm going to do before the Vintage Cube Rotisserie Draft is Mana Flare. Outpost Siege is coming out and putting in Mana Flare. So, yeah, should be fun. Hopefully, I'm still interested in doing this, and I can give you guys an update on how the Vintage Cube Rotisserie Draft went. And it's all, I love looking back at that stuff. It's so much fun. We'll have it on a Excel sheet, so you get to see who picked what and yada yada. So the last thing I want to talk about, or second thing I want to talk about, connected to, is Master 25 and Pauper Cube, because Master 25 brings a lot of downshifts to the rarities, and allows you to play more cards. So there were a ton of cards that were downshifted, and one of them, Jackalpup, I just saw it today. I didn't realize it was downshifted. It's most likely going in. So I have a list of cards that I'm interested in putting in. So right here you see Hordling Outburst. That's 100% going in. There's no way that's not going in. It's such a good card, and it really slots into that red X token deck with the Battle Cry stuff. So I'm not Battle Cry, Trumpet Blast effects. So I love that. I love that card. It's also just great value. just without even Trumpet Blast effects, it's still a great card. So it tore up Standard when it was in Standard, and so I think I just think it's a great value card. Jackal Pup, like I said, is a 2/1 for 1. I think it might be the only, let's just see, list. I think it's the only 2/1 for 1 we have. Yeah, it's the only 2/1 for 1 that I'm gonna have in the cube in red. There are some other ones that are there's some goblins that you have to pay echo, which is not which I feel is pretty bad. There's some that you have to attack with another creature, I think. It's something that I was trying to revisit, trying to get some more 2-powered one drops in red to make it even more aggro. I'll have to visit it at another point for sure. There's a Sparksmith, which is not in M25, but the goblins made me think about adding Sparksmith. That's not 100% certain. I'm gonna think about it. I'm not 100% sure. I had taken it out a long time ago. I know a lot of people run it in their lists, but I'm not a crazy fan of it, so we'll see. Loyal Sentry. This card I never knew existed. It's a 1 white drop for 1/1. When Loyal Sentry blocks a creature, destroy that creature and Loyal Sentry. So they don't get to do damage to each other. It's just they take each other out. There's no no first strike. Doesn't affect him. So it's interesting. He's a soldier, so I don't think there's much in the way of soldiers in the cube, but he's a soldier. A human soldier, I should say. So it seems like a good card at 1. I don't know what I'd cut for it though. That's the problem, because like right now, let me just visual spoiler. The 1-drops are pretty tight. I was thinking about taking out Thraben Inspector because the white deck doesn't necessarily want a 1/2 for 1. It does draw a card, so that's why it's so good. So I'm not sure. Doom Traveler goes into the sack deck, the white-black sack deck. So I don't know. I could take out one of the tappers. The Pegasus is too good to not keep in there. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to think about it. Maybe I'll extend the 1-drop section. Maybe I'll look at the curve a little bit. I mean, if we look at the curve, actually, can we look at the curve? Is what this allows me to do? It's not here. List, view curve. There you go. So if we look at the curve on white, I have quite a bit of 3-drops, so I could take out a 3-drop or 2 and shift it over to 1. That wouldn't be the end of the world. So maybe a Cathar or something like that. The cohort seems okay. Yeah, so I might do that. And one last card. Well, there was two last cards. One is the Deft Duelist, which is the 1/1 for 2. Where is he? Where is he? Here. He's the 2 to cast 1/1 with double strike. I think he's cool, but the cube doesn't have a lot of power pumping enchantments, so he's not really that great. So I'm thinking about it, but most likely he's not going to make the cut. And the last card that I'm thinking about putting in here is Balduvian Horde. 5/5 for 4 in red. When he enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you discard a card at random. I think it's a great curve topper because at 4 mana you probably already emptied your hand for the most part, and you could discard like a land or whatever, or you're probably hellbent and you don't even need to care about that. So 5/5 for 4, pretty good card in the aggro red deck. So I'm fairly certain that's coming in. Again, what I'm going to change for it, I'm not 100% sure. The cube is currently 420, and it's so hard to find spots. I don't know if I should extend the cube. Maybe this Goblin Free Runner is not great. Surge, Menace too. Menace is pretty good evasion. So the Slash Panther is essentially a 4-drop, but it's so good because of that haste. Um, Beetleback Chief, the token stuff. Goblin Heel Cutter, one of the best red aggro cards. Gorehorn Minotaurs. Gorehorn Minotaurs might be a card to trade out for it, actually, because you really want the Bloodthirst to make it a 5/5/4, which is what the Horde will be. I think that might be the change that I'll do. Anyway, we'll have to see in the future. So before I leave, I wanted to just look at the changes that I did, at least some of them since the last time. 2016. Okay, so we did the conspiracy. I added two vehicles since then. I've seen the Sky Skiff get played once, and no one's played the Renegade Freighter, but I think it is still a good card, so I'm gonna keep it in there for now to see what people think. Aether Chaser, that was from Aether Revolt. So Modern Masters 2017, there was a bunch of things. Uh, so I took out Lightning Bolt because I was tired of first picking Lightning Bolt. Uh, I think there are a couple of mindsets to going about building a cube, and one of those avenues is having packs where there aren't just obvious first picks, and Lightning Bolt is always it's just the first pick always. I don't know what else you'd want to pick over Lightning Bolt in this cube, to be honest with you. So I took it out. I think I might be bringing it back. I don't know. Traded out for Magma Jet, which is a great card to give you advantage. So yeah, I just added the usual suspects from Masters 2017, called the Conclave, Spike Jester, Dinrova Horror, Grixis Slave Driver, Burning Tree Emissary, and Tandem Lookout, all of which have seen play. The Din Rover Horror is just insane, and I like the Tandem Lookout. I've seen it be played already twice, and it was pretty effective, so I like that. So I got this was Commander 2017, I think it was, or 2016, I'm not sure. One of the Commander sets, and I got the Ash Barons in it, so I put the Ash Barons in instead of Shivering Grotto, obviously. Great change. So sets from fall and summer of 2017. This is another update of like pretty powerful cards. This was from, what set was this again? God, I can't even keep up with the sets these days. Oh yeah, Iconic Masters. That's right. So Iconic Masters had a bunch of cool stuff. Among those, Seeker of the Way, which is just insane. Thrill-Kill Assassin, I love it. Darksteel Axe, Praise Vengeance, Riverwheel Aerialist, and then we have some more Amonkhet stuff. Gust Walker, Talk Crop Elite, so good in those token decks. Imagine you get your Hordling Outburst into Talk Crop Elite and then blaze them. Territorial Hammerskull, another one of those attacking cards. Thresher Lizard, Thresher Lizard into a Hordling. What is it? What's the Boldivan Horde? Discard your last card, and then bam. You get yourself what is it? It becomes a 5. It becomes a 4/4, and you have a 5/5. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's more of a mid-rangey thing. The Hordling. No, it's still, you still consider that aggro. So anyway, so yeah, that's it. So those cards, Hooded Brawler. I'm not 100% on Hooded Brawler because there are so many beefy cards in green, but it's in there for the moment. A Nest Robber. Just trying to take out removal for creatures because I feel like red is very burn heavy, and it only does that one thing. So I'm trying to boost up the aggro deck. And so I did some curve and multicolor archetypal fixes. So I'm boosting the Spells Matter thing with Nivix Cyclops. The token matters with the Avengel. I don't know why Coiling Oracle wasn't in the cube already. But anyways, it's there now. Shred Freak. Depths of Desire, just some more value off of the treasure token and bouncing a creature. I don't know how good that is. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. It ramps you in blue, and there's the blue-green ramp deck, and that's why I wanted this here, because this could give you more time to get up to your big hexproof guys or your big green guys. So I think it works archetypally. I know it's not like power-wise, it's lower, but I feel like it could slot into that deck. Countless Gears Renegade. Not sure about this card, but it's in there. Actually, is it in there? This is the. Oh, I still have a bunch of changes. Okay, I think I took it out actually. That's why. Okay, so I'm gonna just run a little bit through this stuff. Acrobatic remover, a maneuver. I really boosted the flicker deck. Pushing a little bit more of the tokens. Striped Riverwinder, great card. It's a great beater for blue in the green-blue ram deck. It's awesome. Repeal, I don't know why it wasn't in the queue, but I put it back in. Ghosted Flicker, another one of those flicker cards. Trickery to hose the tokens. Now that tokens are really like pretty insane, I'm trying to put some cards in. Shrivel's already in here. Black has a bunch of board sweepers, so that's fine. Trickery is another tool. Manticore of the Gauntlet, just kind of like a Kellen Champion-ish for Pauper. Soul Stinger instead of the Undead Executioner, just a little bit better than it, so put that in there. And last but not least, Page. Gosh, I did a lot of changes recently, so that's some more changes to the archetypes. Nest Invader for Science Hammer. This is because of curves. There's a lot of 2-drops. And I feel like the 1/1 is more valuable on the token than the 0/1, even though it's 1 more mana cost. So we'll see how it goes. I think they're pretty interchangeable because green has a lot of 2-drops. So yeah, Byway Courier, not 100%. Here's another one. I was changing a lot of 2s to 3s. Leaf Crown Dryad, a lot of people didn't play with it. I don't know why. It's a good card, but I put Byway Courier in there just for the curve, but I actually don't like this card very much. Every time I play it, I think you get the Investigate on the ETB, but it's actually when it dies, so it's way worse than I thought it was. So I think that's a possible change up for the future. Time Defeat for Ambuscade. I don't know why Ambuscade wasn't in there, but Ambuscade's way better. Because it doesn't fight, it just deals the damage, so way better than Time Defeat. Wall of Roots for Warrior Bear. This is to boost the graveyard deck and to just give you more. I mean, Wall of Roots, don't get me wrong, Wall of Roots is insane, but I like Warrior Bear as a more utility card, so it can be a beater and it can be, you don't have to. I mean, Wall of Roots, the good thing about Wall of Roots is you can do it right away, but like how many times are you doing that right away, right? I mean, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Werebear, unless they have a removal for it, which could possibly also kill the Wall of Roots, it ramps you up and it also gives you that body later in the game. So I think that's cool. Shaper Parasite, great card as well. I like it a lot, but Wretched Griff, I had taken it out, but I think Wretched Griff's just good. And it's really good in that green-blue deck like I was talking to you about. I really want to boost that Simic deck as much as possible. Slash Panther had been taken out. I don't know why, but I took Follow the Hammer out. Night's Game Familiar was in there for the spells deck, but I never saw it used. So Doom Dissenter is just a great card. It's like that Phyrexian guy that gives you the manifest guys. So Bloodless Insider, Mog Fanatic. People probably scream at me, but like Mog Fanatic, sure it's a good card, but I like to change it up a bit, and I want to give creatures on turn 2 a chance to get haste. So I like the Bloodlust Insider. I want to see it in action, so we'll see what happens there. Is this still recording? It still is. Falcon Wrath Noble, a great addition to the Aristocrats deck. So yeah, the white black sacrifice deck loves this card. The deck that can kill all the creatures, the board wipe decks. Falcon Wrath Noble is just a great addition to that deck. Benthic Infiltrator for Trinket Mage. I think I took Trinket Mage out later. Yeah, I did, so don't worry about that. Benthic Infiltrator wasn't doing anything, so no one played it, and it was just kind of garbage. Mana Tithe, I put it back in because I fucking love this card, and Feat of Resistance. There's so many protection to your creature spells, so I was just like, let's just take this shit out. And almost no one plays it in the cube. Totem Heart Beast, I like this card a lot. And I had to take it out because I played against my brother, and he said it puts you in. It makes you think that there is an actual aura deck. And I mean, I didn't 100% agree, but you know, if your play group wants something, you kind of have to listen to them. And whatever, I'm not attached to the Heart Beast. I like it a lot, but I'm not attached to it. So I put in Village Bellringer, but I changed it out for Basilica Guards because there is now. I'm just pushing that white black, you know, either taxing deck or the sack deck, you know, so I want to give it tools. So there you go. Trailblazer over Mardu Scout. Not 100% sure about this one. One less power, but it gets evasion. I assume that when you're playing red, you have burn, so you can like burn out the guys that they put down, and you can like go around them with the menace. So I'm hoping that's what happens. Sentinel Spider, I forgot to take it out a long time ago for the Bitter Sharpshooters, so Bitter Bow Sharpshooters. So put those in. Pardon me. Trinket Mage, I took it out for Seagate Oracle. It's a way to draw cards. Gnawing Zombie, again, along with the along with the what's his name, the Falcon Wrath Noble, just a way to get creatures to get, you know, value out of creatures dying. Gnawing Zombie. I took out Skin Thinner because there are enough removal spells in black. You don't need another one. Countless Gears Renegade. I took it out for Martyr of Dust, which is another great card from Rivals. Colligon Stormsinger, I took it out for Fanatical Firebrand because it has haste as well. So you get your Raging Goblin value there. And you could also ping something, which is great. So I think it's actually better than Mod Fanatic. So yeah. And then Sporloff Ancient, I took it out for the Overgrown Armasaur. I'm not 100% sure about that. I think they're very interchangeable, these cards. Sporloff Ancient, you're guaranteed. Okay, so assuming no removal spells, you're guaranteed a 1/1 creature every 2 turns. Overgrown Armasaur, you're not. But you have this like kind of like threat of like they don't want to block it because they're going to give you a guy kind of thing. And if you have a couple of combat tricks, you can just get ahead that way. So anyway, Void Wielder, I haven't seen it being played in a long time. I love this card personally, but I re-put in Mnemonic Wall because of the combo possibilities, especially with the Flicker deck. So yeah. And last but not least, the Rakdos deck. I talked to a bunch of people. Talked is a stretch. I put up a message on Reddit about Pauper Rakdos, and some people suggested that I could do the Steel and Sack kind of deck. And so this kind of fits in with the white and black deck, the Sacrifice deck, but this can be like red. So I think I have to add. So the red black could be a Steel and Sack deck where you active treason their guys and you sacrifice them, or you sacrifice your guys for value. So I'm gonna have to. I'm not 100% sure about what's going on here, personally. So I think what I want to do is find some kind of some active treason effects. There's the one from the Aether Revolt Kaladesh block where it's 2 to cast. And I think that's a pretty good rate in Pauper. So I think I'll look it up and see if that's something that I could add into the cube. Anyway, so that was a long-winded episode, but it's been a year and a half. I haven't even talked about some other things, like I made a travel cube, which is a lot of fun, and people have it's already been tested, and people liked it. At one of the events, there was a 4. It's enough to draft 4 people, or pancake with 2 people. And yeah, it's just like a lot of fun stuff that I like to do in Cube, and it's like really compact, so it's a lot of fun. I could take this anywhere and just like draft it up, you know. So yeah, I doubt that anyone's looking at this, but if you are, you could always leave comments and let me know what you think. And yep, that's pretty much it. Have a good time, and I'll see you next time.